Friday 24th of November, we have a few planetary alignments that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So Saturn is in Aquarius at the moment and it's aspecting Aries, Leo and Scorpio. And, you know, the hottest point in those signs is 6 degrees from this aspect from Saturn. And on that day, Mars is strong in Scorpio, conjunct the Sun at 8 degrees, and the Moon is at 6 degrees. And it's going to be conjunct Jupiter and Rahu. So why is this worrying? Well, this is going to activate the moons of Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, King Charles, and Rishi Sunak. And this is the moment that I've kind of been watching for since Rishi got in and also the King came into power, because they're all connected in some way, shape or form. Iran have also got some planets around that point as well, but I'm not entirely sure whether they will be pulled in or not. And the other part of this, which is pretty unnerving, is the fact that there was also an eclipse at this point in April 2023. And this is still active. So Joe Biden has his Sun at 4 degrees of Scorpio and his Venus is also at 5 degrees of Scorpio. And Kamala Harris, she's going through a Saturn return and her Saturn is at 6 degrees. So this is significant to her as well, and she could even come into power. And I also feel like there's something with the leader of Serbia and he could be affected by this as well. So the USA moon is at 7 degrees of Aquarius. So the UK chart has the moon at 5 degrees and we're being pulled into something whether or not we see it. And the main impacts are going to be on the USA and in the UK, because the moons of those charts as well as the moons of the leaders are activated. And this is all about public and emotions as well. So Egypt has its ascendant at 4 degrees of Aries and the leader Abdel Fattah, he has his Sun in Scorpio at 3 degrees and Iraq has Mercury at 9 degrees of Scorpio. So the Balkan countries, they also have planets here, and I almost get the feeling that US and UK could do something and the Balkan countries could, you know, maybe step up and call the West out, perhaps due to past experiences. You know, NATO does have some activated planets as well. And we're in a very turbulent time in the geopolitical world. And, you know, if you have personal planets at these degrees, you know, be safe, be cautious about what you're doing and, you know, don't take massive risks. But yeah, Rahu and Jupiter, they expand whatever they get a hold of and emotions are going to be high. Mars and the Sun, they're incredibly hot and there's a hot temper as well. And this can bring a fiery situation to the forefront, what with Venus being debilitated. Compassion and softness is kind of weak at the moment, and Virgo is a very scientific, cold, calculating sign, and the planet of love being here, you know, is not able to properly express itself, and we can only hope that Mars and Saturn in their Mula Trachona signs express their good, but it could also magnify military action and, you know, a bit of oppression. The last eclipse point was so potent. I just, you know, I couldn't not make a comment about it. It affected all over Europe, Turkey, Syria, Israel, Palestine, Egypt, so on and so forth. It's, you know, it's had an impact there. And we also have to remember that the moon will be sitting on a fixed star called Rana, and Rana is associated with changes in authority, travel, and accidents at sea, as well as knowledge and science. But it's an interesting star that's activated by the recent eclipse. And there's also a bit of a mythology around this that may prove interesting. So Helios was a representation of the sun, and he had a son, S-O-N, named Phaethon. And I don't like how much that sounds like Raytheon. Anyways, now Phaethon wanted to taste his father's power and he begged him to borrow his chariot of fire. And, you know, Helios said, well, you have to know how to control those horses and I'm the only one. And still, Phaethon insisted, and eventually Helios reluctantly agreed to let him take the chariot, but, you know, also reminded him that great power comes with great responsibility. And, you know, Phaethon Fathian, he disregarded that, and he just took the reins with glee, and off he went. And as expected, he couldn't control the horses, so he came too close to the earth, brought the sun too close, and so it scorched the earth. And then to try and counteract that and reach an element of equilibrium, he pulled the horses away, and of course the sun moved too far away from earth, and we then found that the earth was freezing. And of course the inhabitants of the earth were going, hey Zeus, you know, they're probably going, Zeus, please save us. But they were praying to Zeus, you know, not to die. And as a result, he had to do something about it. And in, you know, typical Zeus fashion, he just sent down some thunder and lightning and killed Fathian, and also ended the extremes. And that sounds to me a little bit like climate change. You know, it's all over the place, and we've got Neptune in Pisces at the moment, and I do believe that people are going to start worrying about the oceans more, about the impact of plastic. And in my opinion, this is the most important thing that we can do as individuals, and to really focus on this, you know, especially with the astrological confirmation. And on the subject of weather change, we're in an El Nino year, and we also have erratic pole movement pending a pole shift, so we could get a lot of activity in the Earth's crust, which can impact our experience on Earth. You know, for instance, when a volcano bellows out particles, it can block light and heat from the sun. It's like a little particle parasol, if you like, and that can cause some cooling as well. We have had an increase in volcanoes. I think parts of Italy and Iceland have been evacuated because of volcanic activity. And there's also been a lot of sightings of the aurora borealis, which is caused by solar winds. So it's been seen as far down as the Isle of Man and, you know, southern UK. And this can also impact the climate. And I read that on eos.org, and they wrote this little article, and you can go there if you want to know more. I'll probably put a link in the description. And I just want to say there won't be a video on Wednesday because I wanted to release this earlier, so we're all aware of the planet configurations. So just to recap, 3 to 8 degrees of Aquarius and Aries, especially. Yeah, those signs especially. Scorpio is also significant. And then you've got Leo and Cancer to a lesser degree. And of course, you know, I have planets here as well, so I've got to be careful as well. But obviously don't make it impact your life overly. Don't go over the top with it, because, you know, just be cautious. Just be thoughtful about what you're doing. Don't take risks. And, you know, something could happen, but, you know, something might not happen. You know, if we're just cautious and we pay attention and we do our best, then we've done our best. But, you know, I do hope that, you know, it turns out to be nice side of Saturn and Mars. And, you know, I'm tired of hearing all this horror on the news. It's really awful at the moment. And, I'd be quite grateful for a bit of a break. But, you know, that Pluto return and all those moons in Aries, I can't help but feel like something is going to happen sooner or later, especially for the US and UK. And, you know, there we go. But I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe. And I'll see you then. Bye.